Ready?
Township of Edison Zoning Board of Adjustment, regular meeting of April 21st, 2026 is now in session. Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975 has been provided by the annual notice published in the Home News and Tribune on December 4th, 2025, and has been posted in the main lobby of the municipal complex on December 4th, 2025. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Carley? Ms. Knight? Mr. Magnelli?
Magaletta, yes.
Magalelli. Mr. Ayotte?
Here.
Mr. Johnny?
Here.
Mr. Chabra?
Here.
Mr. Patel?
Here.
Mr. Schneider?
Here.
Mr. Sidaha?
Here.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Here.
And Chairman Kumba.
Here. Madam Secretary, minutes for consideration.
Minutes of March 31st, 2026 for approval.
What's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve? Second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, seconded by Mr. Johnny. Roll call, please.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Chabra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Johnny?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Sidaha?
Yes to the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes to the motion.
And Chairman Kumba.
Yes on the motion.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, resolution.
C-17, 2025, Suresh Modi for approval.
What's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, seconded by Mr. Sadato. Roll call, please.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Chabra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Sidaha?
Yes to the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes to the motion.
And Chairman Kumba.
Yes on the motion. And the next resolution, please.
Z-25, 2025, Hazabel of Northeast LLC for approval.
What's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve? Second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, seconded by Mr. Johnny. Roll call, please.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Chabra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Johnny?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Sidaha?
Yes to the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kumba.
Yes on the motion.
Thank you.
We have one announcement for this evening. KZ33, 2025, NHDP LLC at 136 Floyd Street. It will not be heard this evening. It will be carried to May 12th, 2026. If you're here for this case, Z33, 2025, NHDP LLC, it will not be heard this evening. It will be heard on Tuesday, May 12th, 2026, with a meeting beginning at 7 p.m. here in council chambers.
Without further notice, this is your notice.
Thank you, council.
Of course.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a regular meeting of the Township of Edison Zoning Board of Adjustment. The board is composed of Edison Township residents appointed by municipal council who volunteer their time in service to the board. The municipal land use law requires that members successfully complete a land use training course administered by the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. This board also holds in-house training conducted by our board professionals. The zoning board abides by the provisions of the municipal land use law in addition to our board's bylaws. The zoning board is a quasi-judicial land use board which differs from the township planning board. Under the municipal land use law, board members are required to be impartial and are not allowed to discuss any case prior to being heard at a hearing. All applicants have the opportunity to present their case before the board, along with the opportunity for board members and board professionals to question the applicant and their witnesses. At the conclusion of the applicant's presentation of their case, the case will open to the public. Residents within 200 feet of the property subject property will be heard, followed by residents from outside of 200 feet. All residents will be sworn in, they'll provide their name and address, and they'll be given 6 minutes to comment on the application being considered without the opportunity for rebuttal. Residents may ask questions of the applicant's professionals, and board professionals. The board requests that these questions are asked prior to any commentary being made on the application. Once commentary begins, the resident's timer will begin. The applicant will be allowed the opportunity for cross-examination of their witnesses. Under the law, the chair is allowed to stop any commentary which is repetitive or an attempt to filibuster the board. Further, the chair is allowed to stop any commentary that is irrelevant to the case or prohibited from the board's consideration. Once the public portion is closed, all public comments are ended unless new testimony is presented by the applicant. Following the closure of the public portion, the applicant will have the right of summation on their application. Following summation, the case will go to the board for decision. This procedure has been followed by the board and is similar to the procedures followed by boards of adjustment statewide. The municipal land use law provides the board to engage in a balancing act. It is not required to strictly apply township ordinances, zoning plan, or master plan. As a board of adjustment, variances are granted when appropriately necessary, following all legal considerations. As has been the case with prior boards, this board will see where we're at if we are still in session around 9:30 p.m. I ask that all applicants, professionals, and residents show respect to each other and be civil throughout all proceedings. I ask that you withhold applause, booing, or interrupting of anyone while they are speaking. The chair will not tolerate any outbursts by applicants, professionals, or the public. Further, since most cases are being recorded by a court reporter, I ask that speakers do not speak over one another. The first matter on the agenda is a closed session. Madam Secretary, could you please read the closed session?
Closed session for Z53, 2019, American Outdoor at 737 New Durham Ave, and case number Z46, 2017, Care 1, litigation at 1350 Inman Ave.
Can I get a motion to go into closed session?
Motion to go in closed session.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman Gorman, second by Mr. Sadata. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Board will adjourn to closed session. Thank you. Can I get a motion to return to public session?
Motion to return to public session.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Schneider, second by Mr. Sadada. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Board return to public session. Madam Secretary, first case on the agenda, please.
Case number Z5, 2026, PSE&G at 130A Meadow Road and 101 Silver Lake. Applicant is seeking preliminary and final site plan along with multiple bulk and use variances for the construction of an electrical substation and other electrical equipment on the property. Standards have not been met in accordance with the master plan. Electrical substations are not a permitted use in the zone, along with the bulk variances that are attached to the application's rider. Affected property is located in the LI zone, designated as block number 366 and 36601, lot numbers 22, 25.13, and 10.12 on the Edison Township tax map. All noticing paperwork is in order.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rebecca Maioriello. I'm an attorney at Connell Foley. It's a pleasure to be here this evening before you all. We represent the applicant, Public Service Electric and Gas Company, also known as PSE&G. PSE&G, we're here tonight seeking preliminary and final site plan approval with D1 variance relief and a litany of C variance relief, as you will hear here tonight during our testimony. To construct a substation on 3 separate parcels within the Township of Edison. So just to give you a brief background, 2 of the parcels are known as 130A Meadow Road and 101 Silver Lake Road. These are 2 contiguous parcels, so they're right next to each other. 101 Silver Lake Road measures over 88 acres, and it basically consists of unimproved land. There's also an existing electrical transmission line that runs through this parcel that contains 5 monopoles and 9 lattice towers as it exists today. As part of this application, we're going to seek to remove one of these lattice towers. Also, right next to 101 Silver Lake, as I previously said, is 130A Meadow Road. This parcel measures approximately 0.98 acres. Now, to what I will categorize as the northern side of this parcel is an existing PSE&G electrical substation. And to the southern portion is the New Jersey Turnpike, which brings us to the last parcel that we're seeking approvals here tonight, which is known as 191 Meadow Road. This is an undersized triangular parcel, and we're going to seek some variance relief in connection with some improvements on this parcel. PSE&G is going to construct a monopole here, and they're also going to, if they get approval tonight, they're going to have an easement running through this parcel. PSE&G is not the owner of this parcel, but would essentially act as the tenant if this project is approved here tonight. So to give this board a brief overview of some of the improvements, the overall improvements that PSE&G is proposing is going to be, they're going to install a prefabricated electrical substation consisting of a control house, distribution lines, switchgear, and other electrical equipment. Some other improvements are going to be, they're going to install 3 stormwater infiltration basins, 2 150-foot high monopoles, 1 140-foot monopole, 1 new 95-foot monopole, and another 90-foot high monopole on the undersized triangular lot that's located across the New Jersey Turnpike that I discussed before. This project is necessary to provide some relief to the existing substations that PSE&G owns and operates. These substations are very overburdened and over capacity, and this substation is necessary to improve reliability and service through Edison and the surrounding area. So PSE&G, we have several witnesses here tonight to talk about our testimony. As you see, the right side of the room is filled tonight. That's the bride side of the aisle. This is the applicant and members of the applicant. Do not worry, I'm not calling on all of them to testify tonight, just a select few. And with
I am worried about who's actually running the electrical grid while these guys are all sitting. That's, you know.
I know, check your cell phones. Is everything good? Is everything running?
My wife hasn't texted me to complain, so I think we're good.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to call my first witness, Sunil Mittal. He is a PSE&G project manager. Sunil, if you can come up.
Good evening, everyone.
Do you swear or affirm testimony you give this evening is the whole truth?
Yes, please.
Okay. Please state your full name and spell it for the record, please.
My name is Sunil Mittal. First name S as in summer, UNIL. Last name MIT as in telephone, AL.
And what is Mr. Mattel being offered for?
He's a fact witness. He will provide testimony on site operations, some of the proposed improvements. Mr. Sunil has taken a lead role with designing this project and post-construction as well, so he's going to provide some factual testimony about site operations.
But no expert testimony?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Sunil, so you just stated your name for the record. Can you please tell us who you are employed by and what is your position at your employer?
So I'm employed by PSENG, and my function is project management. I've been here for 8 years. So the project management is essentially the construction of the substation, and there is additionally procurement, engineering function, and taking care of the project schedule, basically determining the entire duration, cost controls, economics of the project. Thank you.
You also take part in managing project and site operations, is that correct?
Yes. So once the construction is done, there's going to be a testing and commissioning before the project is handed over to the PSENG operations group, where they manage the instrumentation and operation of the substation prior to the electricity being distributed to all the customers.
Thank you. And as the project manager, are you familiar with this project?
Yes, I am fully conversant and familiar with the project.
Okay, so I would like to introduce Exhibit A1, which is an aerial exhibit of the site.
Okay, who prepared that exhibit?
Excuse me?
Who prepared the exhibit?
Our project, who prepared this? PSENG.
Could you identify yourself, whoever is speaking?
If you could just be on the microphone, please.
Behind you is on that.
Right there on the podium there.
Thank you.
Lisa DeFranza, I'm with E2PM.
Okay, and who
I support licensing and permitting for PSENG.
All right, and
I
who-
also prepared the landscape plan, not this plan.
okay, who prepared A1?
PSENG, Surveys and Mapping Department.
Okay, and you know that how?
I work with them to get them prepared.
Okay, and so it's A1, and any objection?
It's an aerial exhibit prepared by PSENG. If we look in the signature block, it's prepared by PSENG. It is dated, apologies. It is dated, where's the date? Oh, yeah, April 17th, 2026.
Okay, and is there a sheet number on it, or is it just by itself?
No, this is a single sheet. It's
Okay.
the title is the PSENG South Edison Substation,
Okay, so admit it's A1 then.
A1.
You also put the date on by the A1, just today's date, so
Today's
it's clear. Up top, yes.
April 21st. We have some handouts. May we pass that to the board secretary?
Yes,
or-
please.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Sunil, so can you please describe to the board what this exhibit depicts?
So the exhibit shows the location of the site for the substation. It is located on the southwestern side of Meadow Road, and it is surrounded on the west side by an access road to PSENG, existing Meadow Road substation. And then on the east side, there is a Penske trucking lot. On the northern side of the Meadow Road, there is a warehouse. And then the substation parcel is currently undeveloped and wooded. And actually, we don't really see it, but it's very undulating. The topography keeps changing. And currently, no construction has been performed there. The small triangular-shaped parcel on the east side of the turnpike, there is one commercial building, 2-story, and there is associated parking, and there is a shed there. Thank you.
So Sunil, this is the existing conditions on the site that we're here before the board tonight, correct?
Yes.
Can you just, can you maybe go closer to the exhibit and point out to the board of the approximate location of where 101 Silver Lake is, 130A Meadow Road, and also 191 Meadow Road? Can you walk the board towards the general locations of the site?
So as you'll see, this is Meadow Road, and the area immediately to the left is wooded and undeveloped. So this, we are going to use it for the construction of the substation. The area further left and out of the picture aerial, that's called Silver Lake. And we are not really going anything beyond this limit of disturbance as shown here. This is an existing substation. It's called Meadow Road, which was constructed about 60 years ago. So this substation is extremely heavily loaded. And what it means is if the electrical load becomes higher, there's all the possibility that the transformers may fail and it would cause outage. So based on PSENG study, which was also overseen by PJM, it was recommended that we have an upgrade of the substation.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's touching upon expert testimony to a certain extent. I know he's telling us what he's been told, but are you going to have someone that's going to explain that, an expert who's going to come and explain that?
Yeah, we do have a civil engineer who will
Okay.
provide some specs about the substation.
And the reasons for the upgrade, the supposed upgrade?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted, so it'll be corroborated by,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
And then the substation has to be right close to the overhead transmission line because that's what supplies the high voltage. And so we are going to basically use the existing lattice tower, replace it by 2 monopoles, bring the power in the substation, and then connect back to the original transmission line. So that's the location of the substation, why it was chosen here. Thank you.
I do have a site plan exhibit prepared that was prepared by both PSENG and their civil engineer. I don't know if you would like me to wait till we call our civil to call that up, or we could just keep the existing conditions on while we talk about site operations.
I'd rather have the civil, because the civil engineer will be, will provide a background qualifications and be accepted.
No worries.
Thank you.
Okay, so Sunil, I want to jump ahead to site operations. So can you give the board the benefit of what day-to-day activity will be on the site, a number of employees frequenting the site, and their vehicles and things like that?
Okay, so we are going to have a control house here, right very close to the access drive, but there would be a new drive here because it serves two different purposes. And there are going to be up to 2 operations and maintenance people who would come weekly at the most and run checks on the control house here. So what they're going to basically park within and the right next to the control house, and they bring their own tools, special testing equipment. They come in either a small utility van or pickup trucks, and they do the testing and then leave whatever trash they generate, they take with themselves based on PSE&G working policy. So there is no really waste generated at the site. Thank you.
So Sunil, so what type of equipment, if any, will these maintenance workers bring onto the site, and where will they do any loading or offloading activities?
So there is no really loading or unloading zone or area needed because everything is pre-constructed. They bring their own tools within the van. They carry, do the testing, and then go back. And the substation is unmanned facility. So primarily they check the control house, which is used remotely through the central commands, as well as that control house checks on the equipment within the substation. That equipment is primarily transformer, breakers. So that takes care of proper operation, and we are able to, PSE&G is able to identify any forthcoming problem based on the readings and instrumentation. Thank you.
So just to go back to the loading, so is it correct that any equipment, any loading or unloading will be done completely within the site?
Yes, please.
And what about parking? Does the proposed site have any parking?
No designated parking is provided because that's not the intent. They basically park right next to the control house, and they walk over the rest of the substation to observe the operation and see if there's anything which may seem out of place. And they go back and report their findings to the central command. Thank you.
And you mentioned this a couple of minutes ago, but I just want to be clear for the board. How will trash be handled on and off the site?
So it's very possible that they would drink tea, coffee, or soda. So basically, by PSE&G policy, they essentially keep all the trash with themselves, and they are supposed to take it back to the central division headquarters, where they dispose it off in receptacles which are designated by the company. So they are not supposed to really leave anything at the substation. Thank you.
Very quickly, that's solid waste. Is there any waste being produced by the station itself through operations?
No, there is none.
Okay, so solid waste will be brought in and taken out by the employees?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Now I want to jump to site security. So what type of security measures does PSE&G proposing in connection with this project?
So PSE&G did analysis of the security measure, which is a standard procedure, and it applies to all the substations. So based on that study, PSE&G decided to provide a 20-foot high wall with respect to the grades on the Penske side. So there is going to be a wall here, and then the rest of the substation, they are going to have anti-cut, anti-climb fence, and they're going to be manual gates with cut-proof locks. This wall, the eastern side, that the details, architectural details of aesthetics, they were developed in consultation with township, and we are providing decorative features so that they look, aesthetically, they look great, at least to me. And then the wall would have, in the lower half, gray stone finish, basically embedded, and the upper part of the wall would be beige in color. And there are going to be steel columns in between the panels. Thank you.
We have some renderings of the proposed wall, if it would please the board to show.
Yes, please.
Okay.
And again, who prepared that rendering?
PSC&G. And,
Oh,
okay, so our civil engineer prepared this with PSC&G,
okay. And that'll be A2?
correct?
Okay. Could you describe it, please?
Sunil, can you please describe what this Exhibit A2 depicts?
So exhibit is viewpoint number 1, which is basically looking from Meadow Road towards the inside through the Penske parking lot, and on the rear is the substation. So here you will see in the foreground, we have Meadow Road. This is the Penske truck area. And then we are going to have the decorative wall here from left to right. And
So if I may real quick, so the bottom image is the proposed, the top image is the existing, and
yeah, correct.
that's looking west from Meadow, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please continue.
About to say that.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay. I apologize for cutting you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is viewpoint number 1, and we have developed other viewpoints also.
So, Sunil, so is it correct to say that the purpose of this wall is to provide site security, correct?
Yeah, so the wall provides site security, screening for our critical equipment, plus it's a decorative feature, so it looks aesthetically very nice.
Okay, we have another rendering of,
Can I ask a question before we go to the next rendering? So can you provide some detail as to what the security reason for a 20-foot wall?
So security, it was based on industry-wide concern against threat and damage to the substation. I could give an example. On my previous substation in North Brunswick, there was a person who was trying to damage the substation, and they worked with some person to do the work. But then that person turned out to be, the execution of the damage intended turned out to be FBI agent. So everything was arranged, I think monies were paid or whatever. And this person was leaving USA at Newark for Paris. And that's where FBI caught the person before he was able to go. So these are the situations which are coming more and more common in US, our country. So in recent times, there are standards have been developed in order to, how to really protect the equipment, major critical equipment. So it was decided to have the wall and then also have on the inside, we did some changes. And on the other sides, which are not readily could be seen from the street, Meadow Road, we are providing anti-cut, anti-climb fence, which is a special.
Just as a follow-up, though, you said that the chair asked you if what the standards are. You said there are standards. Where are those standards found that you're saying it should be a 20-foot wall?
Okay, so the standard is not for 20-foot wall, but it's a line of sight. And those other details are basically PSCNG confidential. So right now I cannot discuss those things because the public record, it becomes bigger problems because, thank you.
No, I understand that, but so the standard of line of sight, that's a PSCNG policy, or is it, where would that policy be found? That's what I'm trying to determine.
So, sorry, if I could just jump in.
Yeah.
So, Sunil, part of the wall, as you described, is for security. Is that part of just PSCNG standards?
Yeah, that's a PSCNG internal standard, but it is based on the industry practice. And PSCNG had hired an external consultant to do the study. And based on the recommendations, PSCNG is making the design compatible with the recommendation. Thank you.
And I just want to follow up. You said they did a study. Was that study, I think, a NERC-CIP, an NERC-CIP study 14? Can you just give the board, I guess just some general background on what that is and the type of studies that PSCNG engaged in to determine the necessary safety precautions and measures?
Yeah, so the NERC-CIP, North American Electric Commission, and CIP is critical infrastructure. So that essentially governs the very high voltage in the country. We have to about 750 kV lines, which is on a very high side. And then on the low end, we have about 4 kV, but which is called distribution. So NERC-CIP standard is for about 200 kV, but then they do say, and it's generally considered acceptable to really implement it because our supply is at 230, and but the substation is not that high. So not 100% of the requirements govern, but it is based on one of those standards.
Oh, now you had mentioned a study. Was that study reduced to writing?
No, the study was not submitted with our application because it has security level details such as location of cameras and things of that nature that, if it's submitted, then it's operable and it defeats the purpose of having the assessment. But I can represent for the record that PSCNG has, because there is an existing substation right next door, and we'll continue to work with fire, police, just to make sure that, and also conduct training with them. It's a collaboration to make sure that all safety standards are met and that we're working as a team with respect to site safety. One more point I want to make for the board, Sunil. The PSCNG, did they, unilaterally design this wall, or was there any collaboration with any other outside entities besides PSCNG?
So yeah, the design of the wall, obviously the structural design, the thickness, etc., and the structural strength characteristics, yeah, they are based on the study. And the architectural design of the wall, it was consulted with the mayor and the township officials, and We had several meetings, and they provided an example, and we kind of had a slight modification just because of the wall height. So it was in consultation and collaboration with the township. Thank you.
Okay. We have another rendering of another viewpoint of the wall, if it would please the board to present that as A3. Also prepared by our project engineer, Burns McDonald, and PSC&G.
So
Neil,
this
if you could,
is,
sorry, yep, go ahead. If you could just give the board the benefit of the description of what they're looking at right now for A3.
yeah, so this is exhibit A3, which is being dated as for today, 4/21. This shows the viewpoint number 2. Presently, or existing condition is, you'll see, we have existing transmission line the way it is, and then to the left is the area of the substation. There is an access road, which I described in the very beginning, and then PSC&G existing substation Meadow Road is right here, next to, on the upper part of the fence. So after construction, we will have the substation constructed here. So it shows the wall partially here, which is east to west, and in that area. And then the Penske decorative wall is here, with a small portion right in here shows the anti-cut, anti-climb fence. Thank you.
Do you have handouts of these exhibits?
Mr. Chairman, is it possible to get the easel up here a little closer so we can see?
Sure. You have the handout too, Mr. Ayotte.
Is that A2 and A3?
Yes, please.
Okay. Oh.
Thanks, Rich.
So for the board's benefit, A2 on the bottom portion of the page says viewpoint 1, and A3 on the bottom of the page says viewpoint 2. Does the board have any questions? I just wanted to give you a minute to take a look.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Ms. Chopper?
So what is the construction of this wall like? What kind of material is it proposed to use?
So the wall is precast concrete wall. And in between the wall panels, there's going to be vertically structural steel columns, which are anchored to the foundation base of the wall.
Is it like a filigree, like precast, or like pure precast? Just
It's a precast concrete. And with this special casting so that they could put gray stone at the bottom half, and the top half will constitute of the beige color concrete panels.
and that's 20 feet high, you said, right?
Sorry,
It's 20 feet high?
Yeah, 20 feet high above the grade of Penske lot.
Isn't that like a little too excessive? Concrete, precast panels, steel for a 20-foot high? That's something that you guys do typically in your other PSCG?
I mean, on my projects, I have done 35-foot high walls. So it's not really excessive, or it's not too high, but that's a requirement.
What's the reason you guys can't use like chain link or something?
No, chain link, it doesn't provide the physical obstruction to anything. Chain link is basically, it has a square pattern and essentially, and that's very, very easy to break. So let's say if there is a shooter or somebody, it doesn't really provide any protection. And people are able to climb on the chain link fence very, very easily and then go inside the substation. And the substation is very high voltage substation. So it's extremely dangerous for people to even accidentally go inside the substation. It would be fatal, essentially. And our own operations people, they are very well trained, and they have the card reader, the badges for the entry and exit of the substation. So, that doesn't happen. But for untrained people, it looks fine, or there is nothing, because electricity cannot be seen, but it's the energy, which is very fatal in most of the situation if encountered.
Is there any possibility you could do like a precast, half 10 feet precast with chain link on top or something? I'm just saying, taking a look at the picture much closer up when it's in front of me here, it just seems like all that greenery is being removed and just a giant precast wall, just like a warehouse, basically similar.
Oh, the height of the wall is a requirement as per the study.
Okay, but you can't substitute the top 10 feet into a chain link, just the top part?
No, because actually the top part is much more relevant. The entire height is relevant.
Okay.
So Sunil, how the equipment that is being enclosed by the wall, how tall is that equipment? Is it approximately the same or similar height?
Yeah, so the transformer, which are high voltage, they are about 25 foot high. So the philosophy is that people from the outside, they should not be able to have a direct line of vision, because that's what creates most of the issue. So we cannot really have any partial chain link fence and concrete. So it's kind of provides solid obstruction to any say firearm or whatever we want to say, direct access to the critical equipment. And that critical equipment, it takes many years for order and manufacturing. So that's why it is best to really have a proper security measure. And it's also very expensive. So if we don't really do proper planning, evaluation, analysis, it becomes not only an outage issue for the customers, but then it's for a very long time of several years. Thank you.
How long is the wall?
The length is about 350 feet. Because
650 feet?
Yes, please.
Mr. Aya, if you just be on the microphone, please. I want your fans to hear you at home.
Okay. And is it four, clarify this, is it four walls that are 650 feet?
No.
Total
one wall.
sum?
Just one wall.
Just one wall?
Yeah, straight.
650 feet?
Yes.
Okay.
650 or 350?
350.
Okay.
350.
Who needs the mic? Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Vice Chairman.
So does this wall go around the entire perimeter of the site?
No, it's only along the Penske lot. The other sites, we will have anti-cut, anti-climb fence.
Does the wall have any sound protection from what's going on?
We have a sound expert that's going to provide his expert testimony with respect to the sound and how the wall
Thank you.
helps enclose acoustics.
So in case of any accident in your substation, what is the security level or what is the safety net for surrounding areas?
So There's a continuous monitoring of the equipment, and it's kind of well known that transformer or switch gear, how they behave over a period of time, if there are any temperature variations, and the electrical characteristics. So these are very carefully monitored through our control house as well as the central command. So they are able to predict the problems associated with any of the equipment.
That's the current process, though. But in case something happens, some accident happens, there are always flaw in the monitoring in any system. I'm not talking about PSNG. Something happens. How do you make the safety around the places?
So looking at the size of the substation and the location of the substation, the surrounding citizens, whether it's commercial or residential, the issue does not propagate to more than about 50 feet. So that's about 50 feet is like a rule of thumb, which is considered. And the transformers are well within 50 feet or less with respect to other equipment, but with respect to the perimeter, that distance is much greater. So it's not likely to impact anybody.
Do you have any protection or any kind of a provisions on site in case of fire or any kind of accident occurs? Or you have to wait till any fire stations, or you call fire stations, you wait on external people, or you have your own mechanism on site?
Okay, could you kind of ask me for some clarification? So what it is we have a circuit breaker and disconnect switches, which are able to isolate particular equipment if there's a malfunction. So we are able to direct the electrical flow through other areas, and so it's not going to impact any customer. However, let's say if there is a fire, so the transformers are provided with moats, basically containment, secondary containment, specially lined, and those containment pits have a gravel surface. So the transformer oil is kind of dropped into the pit, so the oil doesn't burn because of lack of oxygen, and that fire is easily controlled. And if something is happening, it would give an indication. For example, there is a high sulfur content. The oil is being tested periodically. So if there is an indication of high sulfur content, operations will be able to identify of potential problem. So it can be easily taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one more point I want to make on this, on the wall. So the purpose of the wall is not only to provide protection from outside of the facility, but also to contain maybe emergencies that might happen within as well, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay. One more point I wanted to touch upon. Can you just give the board the benefit of, during construction, what type of environmental studies does PSC&G go through and assess to make sure that everything is clean coming off and on the site?
So PSNG environmental protocols, they require that all the excavation material which comes out, they be tested for potential contamination, namely chemical contamination, prior to its handling, transportation, and disposal. So for 100% of the cases, it is pre-tested, and in 99% time, there is no problem, is taken care of. But in case if there is some contamination, there is a special handling, and the transportation disposal is in accordance with the environmental regulations. And PSENG policy is that we follow rigorously all the requirements by different agencies. Thank you.
Thank you. And this was mentioned in the planner report, so I just wanted to mention it for the record. What's the PSE&G's policy with respect to snow removal on the site?
Yeah, so snow removal, we have, so for snow removal is essentially in the area of the driveways. So we have driveways within such substation which are more like shape of an 8 number. So PSENG has a snow clearing plan for all the substations. So especially it will be developed for this substation. So a snow plow would come and pile up the snow, or it will take the snow with it through trucks and then dispose it outside. So there is no really issue with any snow while people are at site or any of the operations. Thank you.
Okay. I don't have any further questions for this witness, and I defer to the board.
Does the board have any other questions for Mr. Mithal?
Mr. Chair, I have another question.
Jobber?
So that existing substation that is west of the Penske station, Penske truck stop, it has an existing fence there. What's the current size of that existing fence there?
So that substation was constructed about 1965, 60 years ago. So all the regulations and the issues were not present there. And based on the criticality of the substation, PSNG has done the evaluation, and it is determined the problem is much bigger for the new substation. And for the existing substation, the standard height of the fence is 8 feet, but then that substation has a restricted entrance also. There is an outer fence.
Have you guys had any issues with that existing substation? Any kind of vandalism or such in the past?
I'm not aware of any vandalism.
Okay. Would you be able to, point on that map, the first map, A1, and show where that fence is? Because I'm still not understanding. 300 feet you're mentioning is by that Penske, which is east. Could you just point where that 300 feet that you mentioned is going to be?
Mr. Mithal, I'm going to need you to be on a microphone, please. Just grab the microphone. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so 350 feet is the length approximately of this straight line adjacent the Penske lot. And then substation is here. So the substation is enclosed within this boundary to the left of this line vertically. So it's a smaller substation.
Okay. And what prevents someone to just come in from around the rest of that proposed disturbance line? We understand that the 20-foot fence is going to be 350 feet alongside that Penske, but what if someone comes from the north or the south side? I mean, what kind of barriers that you're going to have there?
So we have existing fence along Meadow Road here, and there is a fence along this yellow reddish line, so people cannot really directly come inside. And then this substation is bound, so it has basically only the residential area. I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate. So it's unlikely that anything is going to happen based on the history there.
But there's no other way from the bottom of Penske, someone to come in from there or anything? There's no risk there?
No, there's no risk here because there is an existing fence here enclosing the entire property.
And what kind of fence is that right now?
The standard chain link fence.
Okay.
And this, the previous operation here at Silver Lake, it's been there for decades.
Gotcha. So the main concern is in front of Penske. That's where you guys are proposing the 20-foot fence.
Yes,
Okay. All right. Thank you for the clarification.
you're very welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Mithel?
Yeah, one.
Vice Chairman?
What happens if this gets approved? What happens to the existing substation? Is that going to remain, or?
Yeah, so existing substation will remain, but the electrical loads which are here for the existing station, they would be transferred to the new substation. So the overload of the Meadow Road substation will be reduced. I'm just kind of, let's say, if the load is 80 MVA and the capacity is X amount, so it would basically be halved. So in order that this existing substation operates, plus we will have a capacity of the new substation. So both of them will work in tandem. Thank you.
So Sunil, I just want to make it clear for the board, we are not proposing any improvements or modifications to the existing substation.
That is correct. Yes.
Any other questions from the board for Mr. Mithel? So during post-construction, you move into the testing and commissioning phase. During that phase, how many personnel are usually on site for that phase?
The testing commissioning is very similar to regular construction. So typically there are about 8 to 10 people which come and test various equipment, and they would basically be parking along here close to the existing access road. So they don't really upset any operation or living off the residential areas here. They don't really park there. They basically use the gate and park inside. Thank you.
Okay. And then does the site envision any site? I know you did put in terms of waste removal and things like that the crew pretty much takes in. They take out what they bring in. What about facilities? If there are people there working, what about facilities for, is there a porta-john or a bathroom on site?
Yeah, so we will have trailers which are equipped with toilets or bathrooms, so they could use it. And then isolated areas, we would have porta-johns which are maintained weekly through external companies.
That was my next question. Thank you.
For hygiene purposes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Mr. Mithel? Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Okay, Sunil, you good to go back?
Ms. Mariarelli, that packet of three sheets, there's a third sheet which has been no testimony. Is that going to be, was somebody else going to testify about that, or?
I'm not sure.
That's viewpoint number 3.
Yeah.
There's no testimony on that. You don't have to, I just want to know.
Yeah, we were going to, my next witness was going to be our civil engineer. We were going to have acoustic after that, and then a landscaping testimony, and that was going to be part of the landscaping.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now I'm ready for my second witness, Michael Blake, professional engineer of Burns and McDonnell.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give this evening is the whole truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Please state your full name and spell it for the record.
It's Michael Blake, Michael Blake.
And Mr. Blake, if you could please provide the board with the benefit of your background and qualifications.
Yeah, I'm a New Jersey PE licensed professional engineer with Burns and McDonnell Engineering Company, 9400 Ward Parkway, Kansas City, Missouri, 64114. I obtained my Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering in 2002 from the University of Missouri in Columbia. Since graduating from college in '02, I have been working as a consulting engineer for close to 24 years, which has included multiple electrical substation and power generation facility projects for numerous clients, ranging from investor-owned utilities to municipal cooperatives. Since early 2019, I have been involved with several PSE&G projects in the state of New Jersey. I obtained my original PE license in the state of Kansas in 2009, and through reciprocity, I became licensed in the state of New Jersey in 2019. My New Jersey license is currently active. As for Burns & McDonnell, I've been there a little over 7 years. My current title is an associate civil engineer and also assistant department manager in our civil structural group, which is part of
We'll
our
accept you.
transmission and distribution group.
We'll accept you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Blake, are you familiar with this project that we're here before the board tonight on?
Yes, I am.
Okay, did you prepare any plans in connection with this project?
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Exhibit A4. Oh, sorry, that's a little loud.
And did you prepare this Exhibit A4?
I prepared this exhibit along with PSE&G, Surveying and Mapping Group.
Okay,
It is labeled the overall site plan. Basically, it shows the full property.
And what's the date on that, please?
The date is March 30th, 2026.
okay.
Again, I'm sorry, again, that's prepared by you or under your direction?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The board should have this 11 by 17 site plan A4.
Yes, we do. And
Okay,
thank you
great.
for abiding by our wishes and request on that. We
Of
appreciate it.
course. Okay, so Mr. Blake, can you please walk the board through the site plan and what we're proposing?
Yeah, well, so right now I want to talk about the existing conditions. I know we briefly talked about it, but in general, it's roughly 90 acres, this whole property encompassed. The red hatching area over on the right is kind of the substation proper. And then the triangular portion across the New Jersey Turnpike is where the monopole location will be. The site's existing topography, which isn't depicted on this, but in general, it drains from kind of in the middle of the station towards Meadow Road, and then the kind of the southwest portion drains kind of into this lower region. It's an area that's wooded and consists of dirt trails and kind of an open area. There's also wetlands located in there. So the wetlands have been identified. One thing to point out is that we will not touch any of the wetlands during construction. As of March 19th, 2026, we received a approval letter from NJDEP for freshwater wetlands letter of interpretation. So they agreed with kind of our examination.
And you submitted a copy of that, I believe, right? It's part of the submission?
Yes,
Yes.
this was submitted with our application.
Additionally, there is a floodplain located within proximity. The proposed development area is adjacent to it, but will not be encroaching or impacting it. And we also submitted a letter showing approval from NJDPE for flood hazard verification, and that was dated June 10th, 2025. Now I want to switch to and introduce Exhibit A5.
And this
should
exhibit was
also-
prepared by you, Mr.
Yes.
Blake? If you could just give the board the title and when it was prepared
So
or
it's
dated.
Exhibit A5 is titled Site Plan. It is also dated March 30th, 2026, and it was prepared by Burns & McDonnell and PSE&G.
That's the handout you gave, that's the back, that's page 4 of the handout? The back of page 2, I guess you could call it, since it's double-sided? Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
This is, it's, yeah, that'd be great, just confirm.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
The one you have.
All right, just for the board, it's the fourth, it's page 4 or the back of page 2 of the handout that was given to us.
Thank you.
That's A5, you said, right? Yes,
Yes.
okay.
So this is kind of a zoomed-in portion of just the actual station area that I was mentioning from the previous exhibit. So as you can see, the station proper is right here. For stormwater design, we have implemented 3 infiltration basins. There's one that's in close proximity to Meadow Road. There's one that's kind of, I'm going to call it plan west. We're kind of at a skewed angle here, so just for easy explanation, we'll say plan west. And then there's a smaller one that's also plan west, but it's a little bit farther south, located kind of on the outskirts of the LOD.
And what's the purpose of the infiltration pods?
It's to address stormwater management. Basically, in order to meet the NJAC 7.8 requirements, we have to design stormwater measures, sheet flow to inlets that drain to the various infiltration basins. Basically trying to reduce stormwater. Post-construction is reduced to 50, 75, and 80% of the pre-development rates. So it's, better condition than what the current runoff would be. The substation site is approximately 6 acres, as far as disturbance. And then I would say across the turnpike, it's less than a ½ acre, the triangular spot. For the turnpike, or across the turnpike where the monopole is going, we originally tried to put the monopole in the right-of-way, but due to topography, it's pretty steep. It was very difficult to make it constructible, so that is why PSE&G is seeking and working with the landowner to get a lease or a easement to install it.
And Mike, that's 191 Meadow Road, correct? The undersized triangular lot is what you're referring to?
Yes, that is correct. Now, one thing I would like to point out on the 191 lot is that there is a setback requirement, and it's 50 feet front setback, but due to design restrictions and stuff, we're only 0.2 feet from the property line, so we are requesting a variance from that, and that was part of our application.
And just for clarification, that's with the property line with the New Jersey Turnpike, correct?
It's the property line that separates the New Jersey Turnpike and that property.
Okay, thank you.
And also, we're seeking, can you just describe the board the setback with the existing building that's on that undersized lot, 199 Meadow Road?
Correct. Yes, the existing building is only set back for 2.5 feet, or it's existing, but there's only a setback of 2.5 feet, and currently there's a 40-foot, side setback.
So we're seeking relief in connection with that?
Yes, we're seeking relief from that.
Non-conforming. Okay.
Okay, so back up to the station proper. We have proposed 2 access roads. Both of them are off Meadow Road. They're 16 feet wide, so we are requesting a variance on that as well, because the minimum standard is 22 for two-way traffic. We don't see this as a concern because it is a private access road, and so usually there isn't going to be two-way traffic, and the 16-foot is sufficient. It's a PSE&G, minimum requirement. It does allow enough for, construction and access as far as heavy haul, bringing in any equipment, and it was also sufficient for, a fire apparatus to get in through the station if that were ever needed. I believe that Sunil touched on this a little bit, but there is no designated parking in the station. Personnel, when they do come on site, once the station's operational and they do come on site, they'll park close to wherever they need to do any testing, or they'll go to the control building, which is located probably closest to the private drive that comes.
So why not simply designate a parking space for any visitors or anybody who's coming on site?
There's no visitors unless they're escorted by PSE&G personnel, so.
Okay, but why not simply have a designated parking area even for the employees?
They're going to park close to the, like say if they need to do an inspection on a specific piece of equipment, they're going to pull up next to that equipment. So the access drive that circulates through the station, that is what they'll typically park on. And it's a designated path.
We could, we could recall Mr. Mittal on this, but, his testimony was that only one vehicle will be on this site at a time, and it's to perform maintenance in connection with the equipment that's proposed. So the idea is the truck or the vehicle would park near whatever equipment that they need to monitor that day, and as such, a designated vehicle space doesn't necessarily make sense to operate maintenance on the site.
Thank you.
I think we can close the loop on this one. Would you agree, if so approved, to condition of approval, that any parking associated with the maintenance of the site would be constricted to the site, not to the adjacent neighborhood?
Yes, I would agree with that.
I mean, understood. Like if a resident needs services from PSE&G, have at it. But what I'm saying is that if it's just limited to that site, you'd agree.
I would agree.
Yes.
Okay.
They would
all right.
only park on the site.
They would park on the side.
Okay. Thank you very much.
One more thing, when you park your vehicle anywhere in that lot, what is the safety net of, say, any substation, any equipment, any device? People can get into anywhere. Though they are part of your contractor or maybe employees, what is the safety? What kind of a safety net do you take it from device perspective or equipment perspective?
So PSE&G personnel go through safety training. They are well trained to work in a substation. Say if, like me as a consultant, and I'm visiting the site for whatever reason, I would, obviously accompany PSE&G, and I have to go through, yearly trainings to make sure that I'm up to speed with, safety reasons and stuff to be in an operating substation.
No, that's understandable. That's your policy of your company. But there is nothing on the site where you can prevent this kind of accident or something from vehicle perspective.
So I guess I'm trying to understand the question. So I guess like third parties, like a random citizen coming on the site, or?
I'm sorry, no, not a third party. Your employee itself can bump into any devices, any equipment, because you are allowing him to go anywhere.
I think, this is kind of an operational question, and I could recall Sunil to talk about employees and how they're trained and make sure that how they the proper safety mechanisms, and he could provide testimony about their training. We could do that right now, or whatever is the pleasure of the board.
Go ahead. I don't want to disturb him, but we can take it a little later.
Okay.
Yeah.
To get back to the entrances, there is an existing private road that goes all the way back to the existing Meadow station or generating station. There, we do have a third access drive off that, but that really is just for access to the backside of the station and also to the monopole before the transmission line crosses over the New Jersey Turnpike. So it's more of just a maintenance, and I wouldn't, that probably won't see much traffic on it, but I did want to point it out that there is a third gate. On the site, there's a control house, which we did mention. There is sanitary and water utilities going to it. The utilities will come out of the building, go through the private drive road until they tie into their respective utilities in Meadow Road.
So hold on. So we had testimony that there'd be trailers on site for bathrooms. So
that's during construction.
Construction, okay.
Yes.
But after post-construction.
Once the station, this is for when the station's operational.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thank you.
As Sunil, discussed and you guys asked questions, I did have it written down just to talk about exactly where the wall is, just to reiterate the 20-foot wall along the Penske lot, and then the anti-cut, anti-climb fence ties into that, wraps all the way around the station, and comes back around. So it does provide a secure perimeter. We additionally have these 3 infiltration basins, and where applicable, we will provide just a split rail fence just to kind of keep the general public out of this specific one. These 2 are behind security fencing, so it's not as easily as accessible. But as far as this one, it's kind of a standard fence that you would see.
And Mr. Blake, I apologize if you already said this, but can you give the board the benefit of the setback of the proposed wall and the fence?
Oh, yeah. So the wall is only 3 foot off the property line. So we are requesting a variance for that. The proximity of the wall to the property line was in order to provide enough travel access road between here, we did have to push it up against that property line, which is why we're requesting a variance. The 3 foot off is just to provide some additional spacing between Penske and the wall. But that was one of the variances included in our application.
And Mr. Blake, in connection with some county approvals that we're also seeking for this project, we're constructing a sidewalk along Meadow Road, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. The sidewalk will be constructed along the frontage of the property. There's additionally going to be some landscaping along that same frontage. We do have landscape architect who we discuss that in further detail, but one of the questions that on the comment letter that we received today was to make sure that it will be ADA compliant, and we will make sure that the sidewalk that is constructed is ADA.
With respect to that review letter, does the applicant have any objection to any of the requests in that letter?
No, we did not have any objections to the requests.
So the applicant will comply with the request in the letter then?
We will comply, and we will work with engineer reviewers to make sure that we get to a comment resolution on all the comments. I haven't read I've gone through the comments, but I'm still I flew up this morning, so I only had like a couple hours to analyze it. But yes, we will make sure that we reach an agreement on everything.
We want to go through point by point. We want to give both our, Mr. Carlisle, would you be on microphone?
Yeah.
Still got a lot to cover with the board is what I'm getting at.
Okay. I mean, I made a few notes on some of the items.
If this is something, if you need more time, I mean, we can provide your direct testimony tonight, and then if you need more time, we could schedule for another evening. I'd rather because there is a lot in both reports. I've reviewed both reports, and there's a lot in both, and I think I want some answers, and I know our board professionals are going to want some answers.
Okay. If we want to go through them, I'm happy to do that. I mean, okay. I'd like to get through as much of this tonight as possible.
So if you could do your, if you want to finish your direct testimony, and then we'll go to the board reports. Yeah. If that's okay, counsel?
Yep,
Let's do that.
Acceptable to me.
I guess the only other thing I had was I was going to talk about lighting, but we can probably address that as we go through the point by point. Unless you want me to.
Mr. Carlisle, if you be on microphone.
Question I suppose to the board. I don't know how you.
Your fans at home need to hear you too.
Sorry, and I promised to correct that this year, and I lied. This is really a decision point for the board and the applicant in terms of how you want to go through my report, whether you're going to go Mr. Blake and Ms. Marinello point by point, or if you just want to do a broad tour of the report. That's a decision for you
Yeah,
to make.
I'm comfortable with going it point by point. There are some sections that we could overall say we will comply. For example, Mr. Blake was just alluding to the lighting. We will comply with all of those comments. Similarly, with the landscaping, we don't need to go through it point by point. We reviewed it. We could comply. But I'm happy to, notwithstanding some of the bulk ones that we could comply with, we could run through it.
And I have a few that we could, like she was, like the stormwater, will comply with.
Yeah, the guys,
There's the utilities, which wanted to make sure that we.
yeah, you're going to want to address the things that you expect the zoning board of adjustment would be concerned about.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me just to start going through the report point by point? Okay. So section 1 of the report, it just provides an overview description of summarization of this project. I guess there's no really comments on that section. Moving on to section 2. 2.1, the applicant shall provide testimony describing proposed site operations. Mr. Mittal came before here earlier this evening. We could recall him. I know there's another outstanding question about employee training, safety, and the sort, so we could recall him. 2.2, Mr. Blake already provided testimony that the sidewalk will comply with ADA. I know there was something about the access road you wanted to mention about building code and having those access driveways ADA compliant.
Oh, the sidewalk will be ADA, especially where we cross the driveways. There's no, there's no sidewalk or anything that would be applicable within the station fence perimeter.
And the sidewalks will be maintained by PSE&G? You're putting the sidewalk in, it snows. Are you guys going to shovel the snow?
On PSE&G's track, the dint of ownership of sidewalk, particularly for a non-resident.
I would hope they're going to clear, because otherwise they're going to get a visit from my good friend Mr. Ayotte after it snows.
The ordinance tells them to. We were talking about snow removal. Your ordinance, Edison's ordinance, has on point with it. I'm sorry, shame on me. Your ordinance is on point with snow removal. Apparently, it's come up before.
The
So you have
applicant,
a section of your ordinance that speaks to snow removal requirements, et cetera, et cetera. 72 hours, the sidewalk in front of your property, et cetera.
12 hours.
Yeah.
12 hours, Mr. Crowley.
12.
12 hours from the last snowfall, yes.
Well, you have a hanging judge over there, so
the
there you go.
applicant, we
misspoke.
stipulate that we will comply with Edison ordinances regarding snow removal, adjacent property owners' responsibility to remove snow within a certain amount of time, and we will comply with respect to the snow on the sidewalk.
Great, thank you.
Section 2.3, that all improvements on the property's frontage shall be inspected by the board engineer at the time of construction. We will, of course, agree to that. Section 2.4, yes, we are working with the fire chief, Chief Toff, to review our plans. We've sent him several turntables. We would like to have a meeting with him. Like I said, there's an existing substation. Edison, PSE&G is already a neighbor in Edison. We have relationships with the fire, police, and we will continue to make sure that this application is satisfactory to them as well.
So just to hold you up there. So I have a copy of a letter dated April 20th, 2026 from Fire Chief Andrew Toth. It's addressed to the zoning board. I reviewed the updated plan, and Division of Fire finds a proposed site plan suitable in its requirement related to the New Jersey Uniform Fire Code regulations, fire apparatus turning radius. So you're good there.
Okay, sorry, I did not see that yet.
It's okay.
But thank you.
If you want my copy.
Thank you.
Mr. Carley.
A little bit, Ms. Marano's progress through the letter. Because the board did talk about the comment 2.4 a lot in the abstract. But as Mr. Middle and Ms. Marano represented, They do have a requirement that's set by the, it's not even a feds, it's a three-nation group. NERC is North American Energy Reliability Corporation. They set the standards across North America. Then our feds, because this is on the PJM grid, this is like becomes like a hot target for security. So they do have an involved plan, and it's supposed to be kept modestly confidential. And so that plan has to have a third-party peer reviewer, and it has to be reviewed with public service and Chief Toth and the third-party reviewer at the end of the day. Make sure that they comply with the regulations that are set by North American Electric Reliability Corporation and the Federal Energy Commission. So they have a whole bunch of federal regulations, and it all goes to security. I have every confidence that what they're proposing to build, except for the monopole, but anything to do with electrical equipment is entirely encircled. And within that compound, that becomes an issue in terms of viewscapes from residents, because some of your buildings within the property are 25-foot tall concrete. They're blast walls in case something goes kerplunk, kerplooey. You don't want to spread them very far, right? And so you do your job reliably, the design engineer, towards that. But I think for the board to do its job, and I don't want to speak for the board's attorney, you guys know your job better than I do, you're going to want to see the aesthetics of it, of those walls, because some of the walls are stepped up, and you have fencing on top of it, et cetera, et cetera. And you're next to residences. And so something I suggest you good people good handle on.
I completely.
I like you to speak in.
No, you know me better than a lot of other people, but absolutely, you're.
Sounds weird.
Well, that's okay. I'm wondering how the court reporter is going to write down kerplunk and kerplooey. So that's where my head's going right now. But but no, I would absolutely agree with that.
To address the first part, the NERC compliance, like we said during Sunil's testimony, that's not something that we could just share with the board as part of the application, because that's private, sensitive information. And there are protocols that PSC&G has to follow in connection with working with law enforcement and things of that nature. And we will, of course, comply with all applicable federal laws, state laws, local laws in that regard. As to the second portion about the comments about the aesthetics of the wall, I believe it was also Mr. Sunil's testimony that PSC&G has been working with the administration at length to design this wall. Of course, if there are any other design comments from the board engineer, the board, we're happy to hear your feedback. We can't make any decisions on the spot right now, but if there's any feedback, I know there was some feedback about the height that was alluded to before, and it was Sunil's testimony that was a requirement based on the equipment that it needs to enclose.
Can you provide renderings of what the wall will look like? Unobstructed views of the wall, which I think is what we're trying to get at. And as far as the NERC study, I understand that you can't just put it out in the open for everybody to see, but has that been shared with the police under, I guess, a seal order or something like that?
At this time, I don't believe so.
Okay. Okay.
I just know that I don't know them personally myself, but I just know that there's various protocols that have to be followed.
Right.
And maybe it's just during meetings with the police, and I know that there's training involved, and I think that's how it's shared, but I will stipulate as a condition that we will make sure that we follow the federal regulations in connection with that.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good to stipulate too, but yes.
Yeah. Since we were talking about the renderings, the simulations that were provided, would it be possible to have those simulations done with the monopole within them? Because right now it's not depicted in any of them. In addition, the renderings or simulations also are not taken from an angle where we would see it from like the residential neighborhoods. They're all taken from the kind of warehouse and more industrial areas. And I think it would be pretty important to see the impact on those residential neighborhoods that are adjacent to the property.
Yes.
Can I just ask which monopole, are you referring to?
Aren't you proposing a monopole?
Well, there's the monopole across the New Jersey Turnpike, and then there's the one on the backside, you know, just southwest of the Penske lot.
Yeah, so but none of them are depicted in the simulations.
Okay.
If you want to take another look at Exhibit A3. And Mike, your office helped prepare this exhibit as well, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
What is it, I'm sorry, what is the total number of monopoles you were proposing on this? I thought it was like three new monopoles, correct?
So right now, right now there's 5 monopoles, 9 lattice towers.
Right.
One of those lattice towers is being demolished. We are proposing 2, 3, 4, 5 monopoles.
Five new monopoles.
One of which is being proposed on that undersized lot that's across the turnpike.
Right.
And for the board, can you just let them know how high those monopoles are?
Yes.
So if you go to exhibit, A4,
Can you just tell us the height?
so there's 2 that are 150 feet tall that are located just to the right of the existing Meadow Road substation. Then you come across that where the new station is. There's one that's 140 feet. Then you go to the one I mentioned earlier that's just south of Penske, and that one is 95. And then across the turnpike, that one is also 95 feet tall.
So, Mr. Blake, does this rendering that's marked as A3, does it contain any of the new monopoles that are proposed?
Yes, it does. So if you look at the picture on top, you can see the lattice tower.
Which exhibit is that?
This is A3.
Thank you. Okay.
So you have the aerial photo just underneath the Google Earth word is you can see the existing lattice tower. That is what is being demoed. And now if you look at the picture below it for the future, you can see just to the left of the existing distribution poles, there's a monopole just to the left of that. And then the lattice tower is no longer there. And then
We have another exhibit. It's another rendering of the street view in front of the residential neighborhood that's prepared by Mr. Blake's office.
Before you do that, I have a really very fundamental basic question, which I'm sure it makes an assumption, but what is the purpose of a substation?
So,
Sorry.
I mean, I'm not an electrical engineer. I'm not an expert, but high level.
Yes,
basically,
please.
you have power is produced at a plant, sends the high voltage power through transmission lines, then it goes to a substation, and that substation then distributes it to various areas. The reason for there's the transformer is it helps take the high voltage, steps it down to a lower voltage that then can be distributed to, businesses, homeowners, et cetera. And then a lot of times you'll have smaller transformers closer to residents and stuff like that keep stepping it down.
I kind of thought that's what it was, but I wanted to ask an expert.
Yeah.
And Mr. Mattel was a fact expert, that's why, a fact witness, that's why I did not ask him. So, thank you. Again, I'm sure we all know what it's for, but I want it on the record. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Schneider.
What percentage of the power generated at this new substation is for Edison residents, and how much of that power goes out of town to other towns?
I cannot answer that, but this substation doesn't produce the power.
Okay, so talk to me like I'm not working for PSE&G and I have no idea what I'm talking about. I just learned what a monopole was.
A monopole.
So what does this station do? And it makes power of some sort?
No, it just it's kind of like redistributes it. So you have.
I'll rephrase the question. How much of whatever this structure does benefits Edison versus outside of Edison?
That I cannot answer that. I would have to defer to someone from PSE&G.
Sunil has the numbers of how many customers this station would service.
So currently, there are 14,300 customers, and the demand has been increasing. So initially, I had mentioned MVA was the load, 80 MVA, currently about 2 years ago. And that is just for the Edison residency and the commercial properties. That's the electric demand. Capacity is 50 MVA. So as such, with the new facility, with the current, close to 100% will go to the customers within the substation. And it's like any water line. If you tap it in, you can draw the water. And if you don't, it will keep flowing on the transmission line. So as such, the electric power is proportional to the demand. If there is no demand, nothing happens, it keeps going, the electron flow. So it is anticipated that 100% of the power which is being fed to the customers, there is going to be some balance between the supply and demand. So supply should be at least marginally more than the demand. Otherwise, there's going to be outage failure. Remember, like 2-3 decades ago, the outage started in Ohio, and the entire Northeast USA was gone without power. So that's the sort of thing that is getting evaluated by PJM, and that's the basis of the substation.
So the current substation services 14,300 Edison customers?
That is true, sir.
And if we add a second substation, if this was to be approved, it's still 14,300?
Yeah, that's the number of customers we have had. But in general, the demand has been increasing with time, and PJM, they analyze the grid, and they predict where we need strengthening and more demand and the location of the substation.
So the amount of customers are the same, but if, for example, half those customers bought a Tesla tomorrow, you would need more demand from the same amount of customers?
Yes, sir.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, and then there was a question about construction safety. So what is there is we have 2 safety watchers which are deputed or which are assigned to the substation, and they monitor and give directions very similar to the crane operators as to where they could go, where they cannot go. So that's for the construction equipment. Personal vehicles, they don't travel on the substation roads. Thank you.
Mr. Johnny, you're satisfied? You're satisfied with Mr. Mittal's answer?
Mr. Chairman, I was asking counter questions to him.
Okay.
So that is good information. That is okay. My point is, after having this new substation, how long do you sustain the requirement? Do you have any analysis like this substation can help you out for next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years?
It depends on the demand. I think should be good for next 20 years, 30 years, but it's very difficult to predict the demand.
Now, based on the past analysis, you might have something called guesstimated analysis, but that's okay. Thank you, though.
Sure. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So before we were talking about the wall and the renderings and the new monopole, so before we brought Sunil back up, we were just discussing this exhibit that is marked as A3 that show the existing conditions and the proposed, which as you see, there's some trees removed and additional monopoles installed.
And just to add to that, it does show the monopoles. So if you want, we could identify them somehow.
Well, no, I just think that the renderings that were handed out to us don't have the monopoles on them. Is that correct?
No, this should, do you have viewpoint
looking
number
at-
2? Which, there's various viewpoints, and I
I walk over
apologize. I
there.
don't know how the
Point 2.
packets were.
Might it be possible, have that rendering, but maybe have the proposed monopoles as a different color, so they stand out?
Like
That's no
that's not
problem.
on the ground.
That's one.
Okay, but like, I just think that the building's not touching the ground in the rendering. So
Because it's
like,
elevated.
But a building can't float in the air.
That's what you think.
The grading is elevated, so the building is not going to be at the same elevation as the forefront property.
No, I'm saying that I just don't think the perspective is correct in terms of the size in relation to the building, because the building isn't.
I think, are you looking at viewpoint number 1?
Point
No,
number 2.
they were looking at viewpoint 2. The view, I'm going to assume that our person who was doing our rendering had, with the fence, it's probably was hard to get it all to look right, but that's something that we can address and resubmit as part of a comment resolution. The building, where it is elevated compared to the forefront. So if there's some, grading that's missing, then that would be something that we would just need to rerun the rendering.
Yeah, no, that would work. I'm just saying for the rendering, for the purpose of it being a perspective and using the heights for perspective and determining the height of the monopoles related to the building, I just think that right now it's not a true representation of what would actually be there.
I think, to Mr. Blake's point, if this is acceptable during, resolution compliance, if this application is approved, we could work with the board professionals, point out the perspectives that highlight the height and the location of the existing monopoles versus the proposed.
With all due respect, this board is very engaged and we're very interested in this, so we're going to want to see this before we make any decision on this case.
Understood.
Thank you.
I also just wanted to highlight A2 again. As you could see, Mr. Blake, if you want to run through like the existing and the proposed, because there are some monopoles identified here, but of course we are happy to go back and redo some renderings and make it more clear for the board.
So in the lower picture, you can see the several monopoles with the transmission lines connecting to them.
That feedback regarding the monopoles was very helpful and appreciated. I don't know if the board has any other comments, if we're going to come back here again with respect to the wall, or if the board's professionals, we just want to make sure we get this right when we come back and present to you all. So, we're happy to hear any feedback.
Mr. Chairman? Oh,
Mr. Schneider, go ahead.
yeah, just somebody made the comment, but I thought it was prudent that the perspective from the residential area. So I recognize on the aerial that the residents are far away from this area, but you still would like to see that perspective versus just across the Penske lot, or, unless I'm missing something, I don't think it's from that angle.
Yeah, that's from like the corner, Mike, if you want to point it out, but we also have another perspective that we could show you tonight with the residential, like more from the residential side. If it would please the board, we could enter it into evidence. Yeah, we don't have a blow-up board of it. We only have the handouts.
Are you referring to viewpoint 2 would be the one that you consider from the residential?
This is listed as viewpoint 4 and viewpoint 5. We just don't have a full size of them.
We can mark this as A6. It is.
We don't have a board for them.
No, yeah.
We didn't have, yeah.
So viewpoint 4, and we'll mark that as A6, yes?
Yes. This A6 consists of 2 sheets, viewpoint 4 and viewpoint 5.
Okay, so combined, okay. It's 2 sheets, all right. And that was prepared by, Mr. Blake, by your office?
Are we listening, this is A6 or A6 and A7?
A6 is make it a 2-page doc, 2-page exhibit.
Just making sure.
Again, Mr. Blake, prepared by your office?
Pardon me?
The A6 was prepared by your office, these renderings?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. All right.
And those views are, you know, what, I don't remember what the street is. That's,
Hold on a second, maybe
Is
I have a
that
question for you.
Clifton?
Hold on.
we enter this would be Exhibit A7,
A7 prepared
which
by,
is the viewpoint map.
What
But
is
it doesn't show viewpoints 4 and 5.
What is A7? What is
A7 is just an overall map that shows where the various views are.
and this was prepared by your office?
This was also prepared by our office.
We do not. There's no, that's not, that's an exhibit, it's not a rendering, though. It's not a handout, right? A7?
Do we have a handout? No, we don't have a handout, but we will email this exhibit to the board and we'll make a list.
Okay.
So we're organized, but this is an aerial exhibit.
Okay.
Of
Using
the-
Google Earth, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's basically just to kind of give you an idea of where each of these viewports were taken. Viewpoint 4 and 5 are taken along the street. I don't know exactly where they are, but we'll depict that when we resubmit this.
Okay.
We'll update this viewport map to show where those are.
That'll be A8 then, I guess. But that's fine. No, but the new one will be A8 because it'll be changed from this.
Okay.
That's all.
Correct.
Well,
That's
yeah.
fine.
All right.
Give the board a couple seconds to digest this. If they have any questions on this.
I have a question. Mr. Blake, within the entire project, how many trees do you estimate that PSC&G is going to remove?
We have a landscape architect that could provide that testimony.
Okay. Okay. All right, because we're going to need to hold on to this when we get back to that.
We were going through the,
We're going
keep
through
going
Mr.
through the-
Delaware Route and Engineering Report.
So I think, right, the last comment on 2.4 was the board wants to see some more renderings of the wall, the height, trees and things like that, highlights of the monopole. So we will definitely make a note and prepare some more exhibits to show this board. So that note is well taken on section 2.4. Moving on to section 2.5, just briefly, we did provide vehicle truck turning template to the fire department, and we also was provided in connection with this application in our application material. So I think unless there's any other comments from the board engineer, I think that's satisfied. Moving on to 2.6, the engineering design certifications about the accessibility. Mr. Blake, is that acceptable, that you could comply with section 2.6?
Yes.
2.7, it's about property frontages and being inspected by the township engineer at the time of construction. I just will note for the record that any comments with respect to the board engineer coming on the site, doing inspections, that is all acceptable to the applicant. Parking, section 3. We try to cover this in Sunil's testimony and Michael's testimony about the parking. We are not proposing any parking here, but as a condition of approval, we will stipulate that any parking on the site is on the site, no parking outside the bounds of the site, although we don't have a per se designated parking spot. And as you'll hear from our planner, we are seeking variances / waivers for this.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Carley.
with that section 3,
Mr. Carley, I need you to be on microphone.
with that section 3, which I largely agree with Mr. Middle's testimony, you're going to have a crew, such as it is, 1 or 2 men visiting the site, and it's all going to be gravelled, and so there'll be parking opportunity for them. The only concern I have in the entirety of Section 3, other than making sure that the applicant does touch her bases relative to sidestepping any relief that may crop up from this. I don't know if it does. It's up to the applicant to determine that in conference with Ms. Knight. But I note in my travels here, there, and everywhere that a lot of substations are used outside of the perimeter for parking of the big boy utility trucks, public service trucks. I'd recommend that the board consider that and the applicant consider the appropriateness of that happening. And sometimes it's like just an ad hoc public service, big enterprise, right? The old saying used to be that, you have more metal than PSE&G, and so they have a lot of metal. So sometimes they scramble to move it around. Just promise us you won't move it around onto this site.
That's acceptable to the applicant.
Okay.
Not to jump too far ahead, there was also another comment, we'll get to it later, about long-term parking of heavy machinery and vehicles. That will not occur, and we will stipulate to that. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Carly.
Okay. Section 4, this is a bulk one. We can comply with all of the lighting comments and considerations that are noted by the board engineer. Same thing with the landscape. There were some comments and recommendations. We could comply with all of those, and you'll hear testimony from our landscape witness about that as well, that we could comply. And Mike, can you just, briefly describe any proposed signage on the site? That's another comment in section 4.8.
Yeah, as part of our drawing package submittal, we did show some signage. It's typical PSE&G electrical safety signage, just to warn people that if they come up to the property, they're spaced, I don't know the exact spacing, but they're spaced based on PSE&G standards every so many feet around the perimeter. Additionally, there is a sign that will go on the gates so that, let's say there is an emergency and fire personnel or police arrive at the site prior to a PSE&G representative being there, there'll be a contact information, and then it will give the information that they can, once they're on the phone, identify the station, a coordinate, just so they can make sure that they know exactly where they're at.
I defer to the board and the board planner and engineer if there's any specific questions that they want to ask with respect to section 4 of the report.
Mr. Carly.
Go first. Well, thank you. And just a general comment on lighting and landscaping. They have a very tough job here, I think, whoever did the lighting, because they have to balance the project sites that are, are abutting residential areas and the impacts. Those residences are protected by the Edison ordinance, so they have to balance the Edison ordinance with the federal regulations, because safety and clear zones, et cetera, and the federal regulations are rather hotter. When I say hot, more intense foot candle patterns than the Edison ordinance. So, Ms. Mayorello, if between now and the next time you can identify if you're going to need relief from the Edison ordinance, I don't think it would, I think for what you're doing, you're probably going to want to have relief, and you'll be able to make the case in a competent manner. But I think you're going to deviate from the local ordinance, and I think that it's going to require a waiver, even though they're meeting the federal standard. I think that might tip you into a waiver situation. That's Mr. Salmon's decision, so I don't know. But think about that before the next one.
Yeah, we will certainly take another look at the illumination and take another look at our calculations to check that.
And then from a signage standpoint, it seems like the signage that is being proposed is more so for safety purposes, not necessarily traditional signage advertising the site. I don't think you would, applicants advertising the site. So I think from that standpoint, I think your signage should be fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then section 5 with regard to stormwater management and grading, Mr. Carley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Relative to all that, it's a bit much, but the long story short is what the applicant designer has done is presented the board with, I think, a competent stormwater management plan. You do have the 3 basins. You have extensive collection system. It all seems to work. Having gone through the reporting extensively, I do recommend some revisions, which I'd characterize as being minor, some typos, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if Mr. Blake agrees with that characterization, but I think Mr. Blake would agree with my advice that the storm system that he proposes is competent. Any of the little ticky-tack things I point out give you pause?
No. We looked at it today, and some of it was just typos where
ticky-tack
the
stuff.
inverts were swapped
Yeah,
accidentally.
it's a good design. They have separation from the flood zone, 14 feet vertically. So they do meet the spirit and intent of the statute as expressed by the administrative code. That's all I have to say about storm sewers.
Thank you. Well, while you're at it, let's talk sanitary waste disposal, water supply, and other utilities.
That there is very little chance that there will be impact on sanitary sewer and water supply because of the nature of the use of the site. But still, the ordinance says, give the board an engineer's report or a statement. Statement can be essentially that, either testimony or a one-pager saying, we're not going to run a domestic water supply out here. We're not going to run a sanitary sewer supply out here. But touch the base. That way you hit the ordinance requirement and you don't have to look for relief. Any other thing is you are the utility. So if the utility requires you to put in transformers or emergency generators, make sure you landscape them. The other thing that's not talked about, which I should have talked about in Chapter 6, is Edison's Chapter 37, entitled Interference with Pipelines. Once upon a time, in 1994, Durham Woods went boom. And so the good people of Edison said, wow, we don't like that so much. And so you have a very comprehensive ordinance that talks about working along transmission lines. Generally prohibits them, but it does give an exception where one owns the gas transmission line. I'm assuming that the G in PSE&G stands for gas, and those pipelines that run through your property are owned by public service?
Yes.
Okay. And so that exempts them from that ordinance. Become familiar with the ordinance, someone on the team, so you're familiar with it. But there is an exemption for you within it if you own the pipe. You got a lot, I think you have some pipes that are 14, 20-inch wide gas pipes. So
Right.
you got some pretty big guys going through there. But I also have confidence that you own it. And so you get the exemption, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to put anything within 75 foot of the limits of that easement. And I think that would put a crinkle in your design. And the grant, and to get around it would require relief. Check into it, make sure that you're A-okay, that you own that pipe, because that gives you the exemption from that being pretty much no man's land for you, 75 feet on either edge of all of those easements that are crisscrossing you. So just...
Yep, and we can submit just a...
I'd be stunned if someone else owned those gas lines.
Well, I'm just saying, like, as part of comment, prior to comment resolution, just submit.
Yeah, it's not a comment in the report, it was an omission, so.
Okay.
Just become familiar with that section of the ordinance and address it.
Will do.
Thanks.
In Section 7, garbage disposal, it was testified to Mr. Carley that they would be removing anything that on site they'd be removing with them. So you're happy with that one, Mr. Carley? Mr. Carley? You like talking to my kids.
It's unfortunate. In terms of garbage disposal, I largely agree with Mr. Middle. Most of the folks, the technicians that'll be coming onto the site will store their wrappers. I think the thought is within the trucks. But I think it wouldn't hurt in terms of the maintenance plan, and I think the maintenance plan does do it for stormwater management, to have regular litter trips around, because stormwater management they're proposing on site would get fouled with litter. So if you just extend that to the perimeter so Mr. Ayotz doesn't get a headache, so the entire site, if there's wrappers that are blowing and hitting into these fences, a lot of fences, they'll clean it up. And I have every confidence public service will maintain it in an orderly fashion.
Yes, that's acceptable.
Great.
Wait, didn't I say enough on garbage?
Then 8, environmental.
We don't have anything in the environmental section that we can't, there's some stuff here about acoustical, and we do have a consultant that we plan on presenting some testimony tonight or next time. Time flies.
I do have one question about 8.3, cut fill. Is that a requirement to be on the drawings, or is it something we could submit?
We like generally in Edison, the township engineer likes it on the drawings. That way, he has a sense of what will be entailed with the construction of a project relative to truckloads. This site, I suspect, because of the environmental considerations you're going to have, the need to mat it and all that stuff, I suspect you're going to be doing a lot of earthwork there.
Correct.
So if you're going to be running like, I don't know, 100 trucks a day up Silver Lake, I don't think you are, but I think the board's going to want to know that the impacts during the construction sequence as well. You're going to have a lot of dirt moving one way or the other. You're elevating the platform. Essentially, the stuff is being built up about 14 foot to get it out of the flood zone. I agree with that. But you're going to have that dirt moving in for there, but in other places you're going to be moving dirt. So if you have a balance, that's fine and dandy. But I think the town engineer is going to want to know that during construction. And we put that generally, this is a construction period thing. You'll see that comment repeated later in the report when we ask you to, if the board looks upon the application favorably and you move towards construction, we ask you for that information again. When you have a pre-construction meeting with the town engineer. You'll be able to figure it out by then.
Now, just to confirm, it's an approximation based on the tools that we use. I'm just making sure that it's...
Yeah, you're not going to get it down to the teaspoon.
All right.
Yeah, I got you.
Thank you.
And then 8.4, I know that you have a sound engineer, so we could just save that section till that testimony comes up.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Mr. Carley, anything else beyond 8.4 that you'd like to address while you have the stage?
The acoustical evaluation, that presentation, I'm assuming Representative Ostergaard, Acoustical Associates, which did prepare the acoustical evaluation, will be here to provide that testimony to the board. I generally agree with their reporting. There's some things I think they should really flesh out a little bit more in front of the board, but I think it's important for the board to hear from PSE&G's expert about the noise impacts of this, because that'll have a real or potentially a significant impact on the neighboring residences. Don't know, but that'll be fleshed out by Ms. Maiorello's expert's testimony.
Correct.
Then comment 9. As Ms. Knight had pointed out to the board, just give us a sense of what the heck this will look like from the neighborhood. That's comment 9.1. And the other things are if this project progresses, you're going to have a long and fruitful relationship with the township engineer, and that's expressed there. And you have a lot of other agency permits to get.
Correct.
And that's pretty much the sum of my report.
Yeah, so again, with regard to the report, chapter 9 of the report, do you have any problem with the miscellany that's in there, with complying with all those?
No, we didn't have any concern.
Okay.
Okay. Great, thank you very much. So now, Ms. Knight will review the Neglia planning report.
Yeah, I think we went through a lot of my comments. A lot of them had to do with more of operational questions that were addressed through the first witness. And just looking through it real quick. Yeah, and then the other questions I had would be related to noise levels and their other professionals. So I don't think I have any additional questions for this one.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. That include your direct of Mr. Blake?
Yeah, I have no further questions for
Okay,
Mr. Blake.
all right, does the board have any questions for Mr. Blake? Seeing none? Okay, thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it.
Would it please the board to maybe get through my acoustical consultant testimony? There's really no exhibits with that. His report speaks for itself, or maybe he does have, these are part of your report.
How long are you estimating for? Okay, you may proceed.
Hi. Nope.
Now it's on.
No.
All right, we'll keep this as brief as possible with providing great information.
Sure. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give this evening is the whole truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your full name for the record and spell it.
Joseph Keefe, Joseph, Keeef, like Frank, E.
And if you could please provide the board with a summary of your background and qualifications.
I have a bachelor's degree in physics and music from Duke University. I work at Ostergaard Acoustical Associates in Woodbridge, where I am one of the principals and one of the owners of the firms, and I'm a member of the Acoustical Society of America, the Institute of Noise Control Engineering, and ASTM E33 Committee on Environmental and Building Acoustics. Yep. Which, ASTM, American Society for Testing and Materials.
Acoustics here are not so good.
This is the best acoustics in a public meeting room I've been in a decade.
Oh, what do you know? And so is there accreditation for your position?
There is not. There's no licensure for acoustical professionals in New Jersey or any other state.
Okay.
Okay, you can proceed then.
Thank you. So we prepared a report about the acoustics of this site and the Meadow Road substation. So unlike previous testimony we've heard, we're going to talk about the existing substation a bit. This is kind of far away and we're kind of in a big room. Would we like this maybe up on the raised platform or pointed at you a little bit? Okay. So what these figures or what these exhibits are, we can mark them or not depending on how you feel, are replications exactly of the figures in our report, which I believe are already in a stack of paper in front of you.
Yes, can you, I was going to say, can you just tell the board about what you prepared for this, the date of it? And
But before you do that, so this demonstrative evidence is in the report already?
Right, so we prepared a May 14th, 2025 report, and I'm going to show you blow-ups of figures. Sorry, I just got to get the right numbers.
If you'd like to move that up a little closer.
Sure. Figures 4, 5, and 6 is what we're going to look at. So the report focuses on a tabulation or a quantification of existing sound emissions, and then says what happens when we add the new substation equipment in. So there's two versions of the existing substation sound emissions because what we found and what we know to be the worst case are not the same thing. So we had the expertise from working with PSE&G on the old Meadow Road substation as well. So based on, or what you're seeing here is based on our findings of visiting the substation during a time of typical operations, asking PSE&G personnel to turn on all the cooling fans that they could, basically make the site make as much noise as it can, and then survey it. And so the results are given in colored contours that represent A-weighted sound levels evaluated 5 feet above the ground. So basically what we would hear if we walked around the site and with our ears. And we're comparing this to criteria given in the New Jersey Noise Code, which is found at NJAC 7:29, and Edison Township's Noise Code. They both say the same thing for residences, which is that at night we need to meet a sound level no higher than 50 dBA, or 50 A-weighted decibels. So what we can see here is that the black and white circles, these are discrete receptor points in our model. And even though we're looking at this in 2D, the model is in 3D. It takes into account the undulations of terrain, the heights of buildings, the heights of walls, the various heights of sound sources and things like that, and the heights of reception. So D, E, and F are right along the backyards of these properties, backing onto the Meadow Road substation. They're 5 feet above grade. A, B, and C are up higher at the height of the the highest window locations of these houses. So sometimes when we're closer, it's louder. Sometimes when we're higher up, farther away, but we're higher up and sound is going over a wall or over an obstruction, that can be the loudest. So we always evaluate both locations for acoustical studies. So A and C are 20 feet above grade. B is 12 feet above grade. Those all represent upper story windows for the respective homes. And what we can see here is a very low prediction. We've got a worst case of 33 dBA from just transformer noise. What's actually the loudest thing at this site, though, is HVAC equipment that wasn't running during this survey due to the environmental conditions. So we'll look at this next board. So this is figure 5 from our report.
So sorry, Joe.
Sure.
This was submitted with our application, but I don't think it's in the application packets that the board has. So just for clarity of the record, we will mark.
We should probably mark these then.
Yes.
A8 would be the first one.
So A8
Which table is this?
will be the existing sound emissions based on as found conditions. And on the top of the easel now is A9, which is existing conditions from the Meadow Road substation with anticipated worst case HVAC noise.
And are these, so these are the report though, right?
This is the bottom is figure 4 from our report, the top is figure 5. So the reason we did this is if you went straight from A8 or the existing conditions to the Meadow Road, to adding the South Edison substation, it looks like it gets way worse, but it really doesn't budge much at all. So we wanted to show this. So if we include all the worst case HVAC noise from the existing substation, our sound emissions at F, or the worst case, are 44 dBA. So this includes not only the transformer noise, the hum, the noise from the fans, but also the worst case noise, assuming all the HVAC at the site is on. So there's a wall-mounted condensing unit or two attached to the control house, and there's some HVAC equipment attached as well. And these things run on temperature-based controls, thermostats, and they turn on and off throughout the day, especially when it's hot. At night, they're not usually on, maybe in hot nights in the summer, but other than that, they're not typically on. But we're modeling the worst case because that's the important thing to do. So 44 dBA based on the condition before we do anything that we've talked about for the rest of this evening's testimony. So then the last exhibit I have is we're on 10, right? Yeah. A10, and this is the real result of our sound study. So here we can see.
Which table is this in your report?
Oh, hang on. Did I put up the wrong one?
You should write on them.
Oh. I'm sorry. I was showing you the wrong side before.
Okay.
Oh, no. No, I wasn't. Oh, hang on a sec.
Yeah.
As found. Oh. No, what I've got. What I've got is not the thing I wanted to show you. That's the problem here. Okay. Well, my apologies, but
but what's properly done, let's mark those so there's no confusion.
So this was the existing condition, so this is A8.
Yeah, we don't have an A10 is what has happened here.
Okay.
But that's okay. Like I said, things don't change much. So
Hold on, where's an A9? Which one's A9?
A9 is the existing conditions with the HVAC noise
From Meadow,
sources.
right? Okay.
Thanks, Rebecca. So I'll use which one's A1? To tell my story here. Yeah. So what happens with our new?
So just for the record, you're referring to A1
This
now,
is
correct? A5. excuse
sorry, I grabbed A5. It doesn't matter what we're exactly using. So this is A5, right? So what I talked about prior, sorry, this isn't oriented the same way, is the Meadow Road substation over here, right? So we've got our 2 transformers, a switchgear building, and a small building over here, and the switchgear and the small building have HVAC, and the transformers inherently make noise. So we're adding numerous additional noise sources, but they're much farther away, which is why we don't have a big effect. And so we've got these 2 transformers here behind these L-shaped or 2-sided isolation walls, and we've got the big wall here that we talked about already, and we've got a 3rd transformer here, and we've also got a 4th future one in our model as the worst case, even though that's not being proposed tonight. And then at the control house, we've got some HVAC, we've got some small, quiet station light and power transformers over here. And the noise from all these is modeled based on manufacturer's data. So of course, none of this exists, we can't go measure it. So we get sound ratings from the manufacturer, we put the sound ratings into our model, we get the dimensional information from PSE&G, they say each of these walls is gonna be this tall, each of these transformers is gonna be this tall, and we model it all. And then we leave all the Meadow Road stuff on in our model, and we say, hey, how loud is all of this going to be? Because people live right here, and that's what we're trying to analyze. So the worst case goes from 44 dBA to 45 dBA. So it's kind of like not really much happens. And because of that, we obviously continue to comply with the 50 dBA noise code. It's also important to note that the ambient sound level in the area is dominated by the New Jersey Turnpike and the traffic flow on the Turnpike. And so we measured this in this neighborhood on the other side of these houses, just outside the bounds of A5 on the street. And in both cases, that ambient sound level was about 47 dBA. So the new predictions from the site, the new sound emissions and the existing sound emissions are both about the same, and they're both below the ambient noise level, and they're both significantly below the regulatory limit for noise. So this site is going to be a good neighbor, it reflects good acoustical design, and there's not going to be any problems. I did want to make one more point. I think you asked about walls, right, and how the walls affected the sound?
I don't remember.
No? Well, I'm going to talk about that. The walls aren't here for sound reasons. This is not one of the cases, which does happen sometimes with PSE&G sites, when we say, hey, you guys have a noise concern, we need to put a wall here to fix an acoustical problem. These walls are here because we were told they're here, not because we told PSE&G they needed to be there for acoustical reasons. So their purpose is not for sound. We didn't model what would happen without them, but my expert experience tells me that things would actually be quieter if these walls didn't exist. We have a big wall here, the sound bounces off this wall, and it goes that way in the direction that people live. Is that a problem? No, I just told you why. But we don't need this wall for sound, and this wall isn't, having any intended acoustical effect. So I hope that clarifies things. Okay, that's it. Right, see, I told you I'd be fast.
Vice Chairman?
Yeah, so you just said with that wall, sound can bounce off and go towards the residents?
Well, sound bounces off of any wall and goes in any direction, of course. But, it's kind of like playing pool. You bounce the ball off the wall, you can kind of predict the angle it goes.
And
It's not towards the residences.
And Joe, our acoustical level, the sound decibel, it's compliant with Edison ordinances, correct?
That's correct.
And we will also stipulate as a condition of approval that we will do a post-construction study to make sure that post-construction, the acoustical levels still comply with the township ordinance. Is that correct?
That's correct, and that's also standard practice for PSE&G sites.
How soon after construction would that study take place?
I mean, we usually get called within a month or two, I believe.
Okay, and then does it matter what time of season because the trees are in bloom? Does that make a difference?
No, we don't have a lot of. So trees don't block sound for the most part. So if you have hundreds of feet of dense woods, that may matter. But what we're talking about here is we're going to come over to this fence line just on this side of the creek and measure noise from the whole site. And we're going to get all the fans turned on here and all the fans turned on here. When we do that, even if it's winter, we'll run the fans to simulate summer conditions.
Okay.
Would it be possible, in addition to doing
There you are. Sorry.
in addition to doing a post-construction study, doing possibly a 6-month look back as well, just to
You mean to measure twice?
measure twice? So we do it right after construction's complete, and then 6 months later, kind of similar how we would do it with lighting, but 6 months later, do the same study just to confirm that the levels are still the same and they haven't exceeded.
I mean, that's up to PSE&G. Certainly it's possible.
Yeah, I would recommend it kind of as if the board was to look favorably on a condition of approval.
Sure. You're going to get the same answer, but
That's acceptable to the applicant.
okay, thank you.
Chairman?
Mr. Schneider?
So right now, there's a substation running and it creates sound. And if we turn that one all the way off and we just had the new substation on, is the new substation, which is 60 years younger than the original one, is it louder or quieter?
Okay. I'm not trying to obfuscate your question, but I want to answer this carefully because they're not the same distance from the observation point, right? So the old substation makes 44 decibels worst case. New plus old makes 45. By the rules of decibel addition, that means that the new one is quieter.
If I was standing in the same spot.
Yeah, if you evaluated at location F in the exhibits,
If I was equidistant from each substation.
Okay, that's a different question.
Does new technology mean it's quieter, louder, or the same?
Okay, new technology generally means it's quieter, but there's more stuff on the new substation. So it's a tough apples to apples comparison that you're asking about.
Sound is cumulative, right?
Yeah, sound is cumulative, but its decibels are logarithmic. So 44 decibels from the old substation, if the new substation contributed the same 44 all by itself, we would predict and measure 47, and we're predicting less than that. So the new substation is contributing its share at the residential observation points less than the old substation is because it's farther away.
Thank you.
Sure. I hope that actually answered the question.
Fascinating.
Any other questions from the board?
Mr. Chair, one question.
Mr. Chopper.
You guys, I don't think I understood this correctly. The old substation is not being decommissioned.
Correct.
It's going to be used in addition to this new one.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hence why our study was the way it was.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Okay. Mr. Carley?
Just for the board's edification and also mine, because.
Mr. Carley, if you could just be.
I'm sorry. This question for Mr. Keefe is for the edification of the board when it comes to decibel levels, because intuitively one would think that, all right, this new station's generating noise at 44 decibels, the old station's at 47, and together the sum of them would be 91. That's not the case. Could you explain why to me?
Yes, so decibels, I can, but I don't know if it's going to work. So when we calculate a decibel, it's actually a ratio of a sound pressure, moving particles of air, divided by a reference pressure, which is just a scientific number that we've agreed to pick as scientists. So you divide the measured pressure by the reference pressure, then you square that value, and you take the logarithm and you multiply it by 10. All right, whatever, a lot of math, right? What it does is it takes numbers that are millions apart and makes them 10 apart, right? Or 20 apart or 40 apart. So it takes these giant numbers that we can't really comprehend the amount between and puts them at a scale that's reasonable for human perception. So to your point, two sounds that are the same value, let's call it 60 decibels, right? If I made 60 and you made 60 and someone stood in the middle and measured, we would measure 63. So the two things together are 3 decibels louder if they're equal. That's the worst case we can add up. When two things are 10 decibels apart, So I was 60 and you're 50 and someone stands in the middle and measures. We only measure 60. The 50 doesn't matter. And if it's quieter than that, 45, 40, 30, et cetera, that doesn't matter either, right? So the only reason we're going from 44 from the Old Meadow Road substation only to 45 decibels with both substations is that they're both contributing about the same amount of sound.
Thank you. The second thing, in terms of my report, there's some comments I have I'm sure you can address in terms of putting annotations if equipment moves around, and you would amend your report if equipment changes from what your report reports on and bases its conclusions on. You would amend the report if anything changes from your report. The equipment is modified during construction, it's moved around, et cetera, et cetera. And that's an if on PSE&G if you have field changes. Then we're going to look for you to freshen up your reports or reflects field changes as may be encountered. Is that acceptable? Okay.
That is a standard practice.
Okay.
Right? We've occasionally learned that, oh, the transformer that we thought we would put here, we couldn't get it. Or once it hit a bridge on an overpass and it was a no-no, goodbye. And we had to do another one. So yes, we can update our study at any time that's appropriate. I also wanted to point out, you made a comment basically that says, hey, let's confirm here that the heights of everything that I used in my report match the heights that is the actual design. And we conferred with the other professionals in the room earlier today, and I can confirm that.
You're good, good. The other thing, again, a lot of words, a lot of comments in my report, but I am concerned about enforcement. Mr. Ayot's doing his job. As Ms. Knight alluded to, 6 months from now, Mr. Carley and Ms. Knight will be out of the picture. Mr. Ayot will be in the picture.
Right.
And say it doesn't work out according to plan. It happens. What kind of enforcement mechanisms is the applicant willing to give to Mr. Ayot? Say it doesn't exceed the municipal level, because the municipal level is a high bar, but it exceeds what you're doing at, and it causes discomfort to the neighbors. How does Mr. Ayot's approach that as an enforcement officer? I don't know, I'm asking.
So I'm not the noise police, but my understanding is that right. So a noise complaint requires a noise violation requires two things. It requires a complaint and it requires proving a violation. So that is to say, if technically speaking, some site made noise at some place that legally is not allowed to exceed X, but it did, but nobody cared, nobody would call you and you wouldn't go measure and waste taxpayer resources. Right, so the way this works is that someone would call you and say, I have a noise complaint, and then you'd arrange to go out and make measurements and show that the level is or is not above 50 dBA at night or 65 dBA during the day. The truth is that when you stand on the road that these houses closest to the substation are, you can't hear the substation. You hear the New Jersey Turnpike. So you would have a difficult job.
Not at all. You would have to prove to me that you're not exceeding the dBA.
No, that's not correct.
We can explain to the judge.
Well,
was that really true?
No, I take strong exception to that.
Okay, that's fine.
A noise enforcement or a notice of violation requires first a measurement over the level.
No, you're right. First,
and then an evaluation of what New Jersey calls the neighborhood residual sound level or the ambient sound level.
You're partly right. First, it involves a complaint. We go out there, we witness a complaint.
Right.
If you can see the dBA, then a warning is issued, or we get in touch with you and find out what's going on and lower the dBA.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the event that there was this exact hypothetical that we're discussing now, right, what would ended up happening was we would go before the proper tribunal, whether it's Superior Court, and, PSE&G, we want to be a good neighbor. We are already there. We would, of course, get in contact with Joe or his colleague and, do whatever we need to do to figure out what's the cause. Is it the turnpike? Like, we will work with you guys. If it's us, we have to comply with the ordinance, right? So we will make sure that whatever is done to comply with the ordinance. We want to be a good neighbor. We're not seeking any variance relief with respect to this. So,
have you had any issues in the past in any other areas?
Yeah, so there's occasionally noise complaints that we get asked to evaluate, and sometimes, so there's three categories of findings we tend to have, right? One is, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, we can't find what you're complaining about. And, we're limited by the fact that we can't take the complainant onto the site and say, come walk around with me and show, because they're not allowed, right? But that's rare. Usually when people complain, they know where it's coming from and usually can figure out what it is. There's really two issues that are more relevant to your question, which is that we find that there's something that might be worth complaining about but isn't a noise ordinance violation, right? So there's a difference between perception and regulatory limits. And then we could also, of course, find that something is perceived to be too loud and also is according to the regulation. The example of the unexpected equipment applies to that. There was a situation once where we were asked to go do a post-construction study, and we found we were a few decibels over, and said, "Oh my goodness, how did this happen?" And retraced everybody's steps and found out that the equipment we analyzed was not the equipment that had been installed. So we like to stand behind our results. We almost always find that we measure less than what we've predicted, and when we don't, we find that we measure the same as we predicted.
I've had no issues with PSE&G in town here, so you guys have been doing a great job in Edison.
Yep.
So I don't anticipate any issues.
Thank you.
Okay, does the board have any questions, Mr. Keefe? Okay, thank you very much, appreciate it.
No problem, you're welcome, thanks.
Okay, I'm not sure what practice this board typically, if there's a stop time, we of course, we have a landscape, not architect, we have an engineer to testify as to the landscaping plan. I defer to the board, I respect your time and.
We appreciate that. I think we would like to carry this for another evening, so as to present the new exhibits for engineering and then the landscape engineer.
Yep, and then
you also have a planner, and then the planner as well.
Correct.
So we don't know what the new date is, but whatever it is, does the applicant extend the time for the board to act on this application?
Yes.
Till, what would be a good time, June 1st, just in case? Just to give us a cushion?
We have a June 30th agenda available.
Oh, then,
So would you do 120 days? That's our standard?
Yes.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so June 30th, Rach?
Yep, June
Okay.
30th. We'll-
June 30th.
All right, that works for you. You just might want to check with your team of professionals, just to make
Yeah.
sure that everybody's good.
Yeah, we will, we'll stay in touch.
Perfect.
But we
Sounds
need
good.
to just put on the record the continuation date.
Okay,
Because
no,
otherwise, you're going to have to renotice. So I'm trying to save you.
Yeah.
thank you, I
process of
appreciate it.
renoticing.
Yeah, so we accept the continuation. We can see to the board that, I'm sorry, my brain is
June 30th, so
malfunctioning.
I can
June
take it from here.
30th.
I can take it from here. So June 30th, you're good?
We're great.
Great. Okay. All right. So for anyone here present, for anyone listening at home, this case will be carried to June 30th, 2026, with the meeting beginning at 7 p.m. here in council chambers. If you received a notice for this meeting, you will not receive another notice. This will serve as your notice. And thank you very much. and
Thank
have a
you
good
very
evening.
much,
Appreciate it.
everyone.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, any additional business come before the board this evening?
That'll be all for this evening.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
By Mr. Sadata, seconded by Mr. Patel. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Board stands adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.